Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Backyard Tabletop.
I was going to say, you didn't scream at him this time. That's crazy.
I wanted to keep it low today. I don't know why. It's just a mellow fall day, even though it's 80 degrees here in Texas.
I was going to say, we had a couple nice fall days, but today it's like high as 75 here in New Mexico.
Is it really? Yeah, I know you guys have been getting down to like the 20s, though.
Yeah, we froze a couple times, got some snow.
Oh, boy.
Not here, but some areas.
Some areas? Ugh. Yeah, it's been kind of muggy here. But you know what isn't muggy? Dungeons and Dragons. And I just want to talk about it with you today.
Depends on... I mean, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, let's talk about let's talk about some dragons.
Let's talk
and the
about
dungeons
dragons
that are definitely not muggy.
Oh man. Well, kind of a lot happened recently in our world of Dungeons and Dragons. At least for me, our group hit level 4, and you guys leveled up, I hear, too.
Yeah, so we're on our we leveled up much faster than you guys did.
Yeah,
from 1 to 2. We're on our 3rd session, and just hit level 2.
Level 2, snap. Well, so I wanted to first just open up this podcast with hello, fellow adventurers. My name is Jake. I am one of your hosts, and this is the Backyard Tabletop.
Hi, I'm your. Is this? Do we normally do this? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I'm scrambled, man. Hi, I'm Kurtis.
I'm
the other one.
You know, we haven't recorded in a couple weeks.
That's
so
true. It's been a couple weeks.
It's and we kind of jumped right into this because you're gonna go off and pack some D&D dice.
Yeah,
that's gonna be nice. But we just hit level 4, and kind of the talk in our Discord is what feats are everyone going to take? Feats with an A. Typically, your race starts with feats unless you want them to not have feet. But we're going to be talking about feats with an A. Perfect,
no
Curtis.
Comment.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the issue with talking about feats, because it's just like I have to state, it's like, hey, stop with the feat jokes. Okay, we understand. They sound similar. It's feats with an A.
Just because all D&D people are obsessed with feats doesn't mean we're all, foot guys. Okay, they're two different things. Two very different things.
Two very different things.
They're not mutually exclusive.
No, they are not. There is the mobile feat, which gives you more movement speed, so maybe that gives you an extra feat.
It's a feat that gives you better feet.
Well, it has been in the Discord. We've all been talking about what feat we're going to take. Are we going to take a feat? Are we going to take ability score, et cetera, et cetera? Technically, rules is written in Dungeons and Dragons, currently in 5th edition mode. It is an optional rule to let feats be a thing. And so I went and just researched a little bit what, when feats got into the game. And it's actually fairly as in 3rd edition is when feats became a thing, which I was kind of surprised to learn that. It didn't happen till 3rd edition, which that came out in 2000, I believe. And how it worked in 3rd edition was your character started with a feat, and then every 3rd level, you would get another feat. So if you went all the way to level 20, potentially you could get up to 7 feats. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah. I know that in classic 3rd edition and even 3.5, feats were kind of like, that was where the game was. That was where if you wanted to really define your character and make them this kind of niche, this feel for your character, and really build them out to be kind of min-maxed, feats was what you really, really, really paid attention to, because the combinations you could get with them. There were tons of different feats.
Lots. And I like them, especially the fact that they added them. That was kind of what divvied up your classes. So you could potentially have 3 fighters in the party, but they could all be very different because of the feats they're taking. Same with if you had a bunch of bards or clerics or whatever. It was a way to really set apart your character from everyone else, and you could really kind of hone in on something specific.
Yeah, and I know with with Pathfinder being, or at least first edition Pathfinder being based off of 3.5, that's still kind of the way it works, is
right.
Your customizations are really heavily defined, and there's tons of like feats to choose from. So you could have 3 monks in a party, and they could all work completely differently and have total different methods of play.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. It's different. But when it came to 5th edition, they kind of took a turn, and they're now technically optional rules. You can either take an ability score or a feat. And particularly, there's something else that kind of surprised me in my research. I found that there was a tweet from Jeremy Crawfield himself, the current. Did I say that wrong? Crawfield?
I think no, it's Crawford.
Crawford. Did I say Crawfield? Crawford.
Crawfield.
Jeremy Crawford. That guy, the big rules guy in Wizards of the Coast, actually said that majority of players don't play with feats. This was a tweet from 2018, and I was surprised.
That's very surprising.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's changed since then. That it's been a few years since that.
I guess that kind of makes sense, because it's just another layer of complexity. And yeah, I don't know. I wonder if he means most people don't add feats to their characters, or if he means that like most tables don't use feats like as an option.
As an option.
Because that's probably a big difference. Because I've made plenty of characters that just never took a feat because it never made sense, but I've never played at a table where feats were like not a thing you could do.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Majority of people that I run into, it's like, yeah, if you want to. And my thought was like, with the current the point buy system, or with the standard array, honestly, if I were to play in a game where we use standard array, I probably the first first time, especially at level 4, I would be taking a stat increase over a feat, just because starting with that 16, maybe 17, I'm not necessarily one of those people that like, I need to get to level, or excuse me, I need to get to the max in my main stat right away. I know you're very different. You're shaking your head at me. I feel like you like to get to that 20 as fast as you can, correct? Yeah.
Usually, mostly because we don't use standard array or anything. We usually do rolls. Right.
We usually do rolls.
And usually I aim to be at least an 18 in my main by the time at level 1.
At level 1, yeah.
Sometimes a 20 if I can.
Yeah.
Even if I have to take because I mean, you know me, I'm a mild min-maxer.
Mild.
So mild. So oftentimes I'll actually do oh shoot, what's it called? The customize option, where you kind of make your own race.
The variant, or
yeah, it's not variant human, but it's
the custom lineage or something.
Custom lineage, that's it.
Yeah.
So that I can take an extra feat to get, a +1 into whatever ability score I need by taking a half feat or something.
Gotcha. No, that makes complete sense, because starting out with a feat is really strong, and I know that's something they're changing when it comes to D&D. I know feats are going to be having a new shift. Like, there's going to be leveled feats. You can only take certain levels at certain feats at certain levels, et cetera, which make complete sense, because there are definitely feats that, like, if you were to take, Sentinel at level 1, you're going to be feeling that a lot, right? The Pole Master, et cetera.
They're almost making feats feel more like Warlock invocations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Warlock invocations are like that. It's like, you can get these ones at this level, but then there's like 8 more that open up at level 6, and then there's like 4 more that open up at these levels are wrong. I think it's 7 and 13, but there's more that open up as you get to higher levels, and you can choose more or swap ones out with each other.
Right.
And that's kind of what it feels like. Feats are almost how they're wanting him to feel, so that it's not like, yeah, I'm at level 1, but I have the strongest feat in the game, and so it gives me a severe power advantage. They want to make it more like, no, that's not really how it works. You can take feats still, but the ones that give you huge bonuses and really powerful effects are going to have to wait until you hit that 12th level mark or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes complete sense to me, because it really can, shift the group quite a bit. And it's kind of almost at that point of like, if you're a fighter and you don't take Sentinel, or it's kind of like, are you even a fighter? It's just, there's some that are just leagues better.
Yeah, and that's always a thing with power creep, in any game you play. It's like, that was a big thing. You remember in Destiny, it was like, if you try to get into this raid and you don't have Gallarhorn, you're not coming. Yeah, we won't let you in.
I do remember that.
That's kind of a thing where it's like, if you're playing a tanky paladin and you don't have Sentinel, why are you even playing a paladin? Why are you here? That's just a dumb decision to not take that.
Correct. And then doing the thing of like pairing Sentinel with Polearm Master, right? You get an attack of opportunity when they come into your space, not just when they leave. And now suddenly their movement speed is 0, right? Like pairing stuff like that can just be a little bit like, oh boy, it can be really fun. Don't get me wrong. And I think at some level it is good to get to that point, but not necessarily at level 2 or,
At this point, it's almost like a meme in the community, but like playing a Hexblade Warlock with a couple, with some levels of Paladin, using a glaive with Sentinel and Polearm Master is like, that's just what you do if you want to be a good warlock. That's just what you do. And so it's like, but the problem with that too is like, one, that denotes that, there's a wrong way to play D&D, which there isn't.
Correct.
But some people feel that way, that it's like, if you're trying to play this style, why would you not take these options? And it's like, well, because my character, because of the way I want them to feel and want them to look, isn't going to use a glaive. So why would I take Polearm Master? Or, whatever else. Because something else that can really happen with feats and doing stuff like that is, if not everyone in the party's kind of on that same feel, wanting to be a little bit min-maxed and have those powerful abilities, the one dude who's doing it is going to make the game way harder for everyone else, because it's almost worse to have an unbalanced party power level than it is to just have a whole party that's just full on min-maxing and making the DM do crazy stuff.
That's an interesting point, yeah.
I would rather be a DM for a party of full min-maxers than a party of, these 4 people are really casual, but this one dude is min-maxing like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think that, to me, I totally get the idea of mid-maxing, but I really do think you should. One, you introduced me to D&D Deep Dive. We've shouted them out. He's great. I love how, and I know you've mentioned this, I love how in all his builds of mid-maxing, or finding one, it's like how to do this style the best, he has reason for it. And I think that's important to the game. You need to have a reason to be doing these things, not necessarily just because it's best. Because if I'm being honest, D&D really isn't all that hard when it comes to, you could play a totally not mid-max and be totally fine, because the DM has really good idea for when it comes to combats, right? It's easy to be able to balance it accordingly.
The game is naturally balanced.
Yeah.
For 3 to 5 players of average power level.
Correct.
Right? That's how it's naturally balanced.
Mm-hmm.
So to do anything other than that, the DM has to do work to rebalance it, right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that.
This is kind of a thing right now with your fighter. For 2 levels, you have a +2 to your attacks, right? And you probably haven't been hitting a whole lot, right? To your,
I have a 0 to my attacks.
oh, not even proficiency?
Oh no, you're right. +2 to my attacks.
That's what I thought. But,
yes, because I'm at a 0.
Yeah.
With Dex, yes.
Well, I'm just like, and you haven't died, I think, right?
No.
I guess what?
Well, I went unconscious, but
Okay. So you've gotten close. And to be fair, you shouldn't necessarily play the rest of the game like that. You're going to be getting your spells and things like that. But I think it goes to show, it's like, I know some people, we were talking about, like, you like to get to that 20 as soon as you can. It doesn't necessarily need to be. In fact, usually that's kind of how I like to play. I don't necessarily like getting to that 20 till like, I think if I'm not 20 in my main stat around that 6th or that 6th level, I'll probably start feeling it. But really, from like level 1 to level 6, I don't mind not being that max, because I do like the fact that I have to earn it. Because I think it is a little bit weird if I'm a level 1 fighter and I have a 20 in something, I am the best, physically with my sword. I kind of like the idea of, like, I had to train. In my backstory, you could have that, but you get to feel a little bit in the course of the game. And I get it for, like, intelligence and charisma and wisdom. I get you could be a prodigy and have that work, but I don't know. It's more of a feel for me. I like feeling like I earn these things, if that makes sense.
No, and that makes total sense. I feel like that's kind of where proficiency comes in. As you hit those levels, your proficiency is sort of your experience, in my opinion. Like, your proficiency is, as you gain levels, as you're going throughout your adventure, your proficiency is constantly going up. And that, to me, is learning as an adventurer. My proficiency is increasing because I'm practicing these skills.
That's fair.
Constantly, day and night,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your attributes, I feel like, yes, those also should increase as you gain levels and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be like you can't naturally have a +4 to intelligence when you start. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Because some people are just actually that smart.
Yeah.
And it takes practice in the mind, but like kind of like you said, that can be stuff that happens in your backstory. It doesn't mean you have to be a hero already by the time you're starting, or like some guy who's already like an amazing adventurer by the time you're starting. It could just mean that you've had experiences in your past that have made you practice and study and get to where you are today.
Yeah, exactly. So and I think that's why I like Dungeons and Dragons and why we have, rules where it's kind of comes into, like, at least gives you the chance to get to those higher levels. And if you roll really good, then you can start at an natural 20 in your stats. And I think that's cool. For me personally, I do like getting that 20 in the game. I don't know. There's just something about it for me that I really enjoy. But with that, we all leveled up at level 4, and my character took the half feat Fey touched. I thought that would be very thematic because it's a Baba Yaga campaign, and we have run into a lot of fairies. In fact, in the latest combat, I'm blanking on the name of that creature, but it was a half nymph and half fiend creature that we fought, which was very interesting. She had a flaming sword that unfortunately Dip was rolling really poorly and missed us quite a bit. But I've been flavoring a lot of it to just kind of fit the theme of the Fae. So I got the Fae touch, and I'm a fan of half feats. Personally, those are my favorite. I like ones that, if you don't know, half feats give you a +1 in a stat. Typically, it directs you. and then you get a bunch of add-ons to a particular thing. For this one in particular, lets you choose from different ones. Obviously, I went with charisma because I am a bard, so I got a +1 to charisma, which got me to the 20. So very thankful for that. And which just feels good. And then I can Misty Step once per day for free without spending a spell slot. And then I get to pick one other spell that is from the illusion or enchantment, I believe it is. And I went with Bless because I think, oddly enough, I think Bless is enchantment. Let me look that up real quick.
I would think Bless would be what's the protection one?
Yeah, Bless is enchantment.
Interesting.
So that's why I went with Bless, and so I can cast that one once per day without spending a spell slot, and then it's also added to my spell list, so I can use a spell slot, which is really cool. Which is kind of the thing with bards. I like taking other spells from other spellcaster lists, which is something you get with Magical Secrets later, which is really fun. So yeah, those are the ones I went with. We finally leveled up after quite a endeavor into the Pale Tower. So at this point, I think we are going to slide into not Kurtis's DMs, just sliding into our stories for the week, talking a little bit about our weekend games. If you all would like to sit back, pop open a cold one with the boys here, and here we go. You ready, Kurtis?
Oh, wow, old reference. That's great. Pop open a cold one with the boys.
With the boys. We are the boys in this case.
Boys.
So,
boy.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've gotten to talk a little bit about our game.
Yeah, by all means.
Yeah. So, is it okay if I go first? I didn't want to just shove you out of the way.
Sure. Yeah. Well, because so last I remember you guys were, you had met the Black Rider, right?
Correct.
Whatever he was. And then you had moved on to, you were basically heading towards this pale tower that's some sort of bastion of one of the daughters, right?
Well, not quite. This is just a noble lady in the area. So, yes, we got... we met the Black Rider, and he asked us to take on the mantle of ushering in Baba Yaga. So we have to go free her because Baba Yaga is apparently trapped somewhere. And so he kind of gave us this challenge, and because of that, we all got an increase to stats, which is really cool, which is the only reason why I got to level 20 level 20. The stat of level 20 in charisma was because of that, which was really cool. And it was something that Dip added that wasn't in the book, but he figured it would help us kind of get into it. And we all have this feeling deep in our hearts, the character of what we are. It's kind of like he explained it like a goal of yours, and it's not like a goal of like this is everything of your fiber of your being, you need to do this. It's more of like for he actually made us all close our eyes and actually think about a goal for us personally. For me, it was one day owning a house. It was one day being able to have a place to call home, which was really cool. And we all took a moment to think about that. And he's like, that's what it feels like. It feels like just this goal that you really want. It's not necessarily you're going to, kill people to get to this, it's not like you're going to drop everything to go do this. It's just a goal that you're pushing toward and you really do want one day. Right.
It's less of like you're compelled to do it and more like just like a conviction. Yeah,
I think that's a great way to put it. It's just something in all of us that we felt that we're like, yes, we're on the right path. So we went through a portal, which was there, which is kind of the heart of where this winter storm happened, because there's these winter storms popping up everywhere. And we were teleported far, far north, where we met Nadya. And that was the last story I explained, where Nadia's daughter was the doll in the creepy hut. Yeah. So we met Nadya. She took us back to the town that she stayed in, which oddly looked really familiar to the town that we all met in, which was in Teldor. The name of the place we were from was from Heldren. I can't remember what this place in the far north is, but it looks oddly familiar. If I can, I might put up some maps so you can guys kind of see the map that he showed us, because it is pretty eerie, pretty interesting. The biggest one being there's a statue in both that's just simply called the Lady, and no one really knows who it was. It's just the statue has always been there. So it's interesting, and it's eerie and trippy, and I love it. We had to go to the Pell Tower because Nadya wants revenge for her daughter, because the noble lady, basically Nadia's daughter told a joke, and the noble lady did not like that and kidnapped the daughter and took her back to the Pale Tower. Nadya was under the impression if she got some goods, things to sell, and give to the Pell Tower, that she could negotiate to have her daughter. But we had the unfortunate news that her daughter had already been turned into a very creepy doll. That it had like a crone face, like a hag face, but the rest of the doll looked pretty, fairly like a porcelain doll, but the face was really off-putting. So we all know we probably need to take out this lady, and she seems to be a witch. A lot of these noble houses seem to be witches of some sort. She's not associated with Baba Yaga. That is like probably we could definitely not take her on because she's probably very powerful, being the daughter of Baba Yaga. Which is interesting because as of right now, the whole goal is to actually free Baba Yaga. It's not to like go take out these noble houses and then eventually get to the, not start assassinating all these people and then make our way up to the hierarchy and take her out, and then that's going to bring her back. It could potentially be that. But as of right now, we're kind of under the impression it's like, we're really just out for Baba Yaga, and then she's going to fix everything, basically. Right. So we got to the Pale Tower, and myself and actually, funny enough, Nixia, who is a fighter, who's played by my wife Sarah, is also proficient. Both of us are proficient with disguise kits.
Interesting.
So we managed to get our hands on some guard uniforms, which there were guards in the town, and they basically were looking for the Black Rider and 4 strangers, apparently. So confronted, we took them out. That's how we got these armor pieces for being a guard. We all dressed up in them and potentially put beards on. I did not have a beard, but we put a beard on our elf because he's an elf. So we had to disguise the fact that he's an elf.
That's fantastic.
It was pretty great. We rolled for each one, and so we got to the gate, and using these disguises, we were able to enter. And luckily, this is kind of the interesting thing. Luckily, our elf is able to speak the language of this area, and I believe the language is called Skull, Skuul, I believe. And so he was able to convince the guards for opening up the gates, and we were let in. Immediately dropping because our disguises did not hold up on close inspection. Because I believe Dip rolled like a natural 18 plus 2 or something like that on the insight check or investigation check. And so we immediately start fighting. We were kind of like, we got in the gate. We're good. We're in the door.
We got a foot in the door.
He explained it really interesting because the gates were all like this basically ice wall that would have been incredibly difficult to get through. We would have had to found an alternative way of getting in. But we were able to get in. We took out the guards fairly quickly in the courtyard. Sarah had some really fun moments because she is a rune knight fighter, and there was an ogre that she basically, in one of the runes, made it incapacitated. So I think restrained comes later. And so the reason why she took that was because if it's a strong creature, she uses the one that has the wisdom save. If it's more of a magical creature, she uses the one that has a strength save. The fire rune has a strength save, and the other one that she took has a wisdom save. So it's pretty smart that she took these two. Very nice combos there. We were able to clear out the courtyard and get inside, and that's kind of when everything changes. Because there's mirrors around everywhere, and we're all a little freaked out by mirrors because magic-y nonsense. It's pretty great. So our barbarian, who's played by Ethan, who starts smashing the mirrors, and we figured out later, but little did we know there were guards in these rooms that basically all set up a little bit of an ambush the moment we opened the doors. So these side rooms, we open them up and we all get attacked by a bunch of guards. And that's when things start really kind of turning against us because we had the element of surprise, but because we chose to smash the mirrors, Dip was very, it's like, yep, nope, they know you're here. So they were able to get ready. I believe he said they would have not had any armor on because they all were off duty and playing cards and stuff like that. So it really changed the outcome. And there was a bunch of guards that wound up attacking us. Sarah uses her rune that makes her grow large. And that really was quite a new thing. It was really, because Nadya is with us, it really was a show of Nixia and Nadya, because Nadya is a ranger / fighter, I believe. She could be just ranger, but I believe she might have some fighter in there. And Dip was rolling really good for her, and Sarah was rolling really good. And then there comes a point where I am kind of away from everything, but right by a fountain. And out of the fountain comes a water elemental and consumes me.
Oh, no.
And I was like, this came out of nowhere.
Like a full-on, full-size water elemental?
Yeah, I think it was medium. I don't know. I don't know the right stat. It may have been a smaller thing because we were...
Oh, my gosh.
I don't think it was the challenge rating 5 one, but I could be wrong. I get consumed by it, and because Nixia is large, she asks Dip if she's able to pull me out, because the water elemental is like consumed me and I'm restrained, so she pulls me out and moves me. Yeah, engulfed. She moves me, and that was clutch. She got me free, and then I was able to kind of get away again. The fight progresses. And she winds up going down, and we're at this point we have I believe only 2 guards left and the water elemental. And she falls almost right at the feet of the water elemental, and Sarah this is when she used the rune, the fire rune. And so the water elemental, she basically took that out of the fight because it's restrained, so it can't move. And no one was in its area to attack until Sarah, who falls unconscious at the feet of the creature. And then right after her is the water elemental, and the only person that's within range is Nixia.
I was going to say that's also bad because it can't move, and now she's the only thing it can hit.
Nothing in the because we looked it up, nothing in the rune feature said anything about the chains falling or dropping when you lose consciousness.
Concentration or anything.
Yeah. It's just, that's why there's a save at the end of its turn. And so she gets attacked and she's unconscious. So The water elemental has 2 attacks. The first one, she rolls Dip rolls I believe it was a natural 20, but regardless, it's a crit, regardless if it hits. With disadvantage, I think that brought it down. Yeah, because he had disadvantage, so I think that brought it down. The next one that he rolls, no, it wasn't. That was it. Because
I was going to say he shouldn't have had disadvantage. Yeah,
because Nixia's prone, but it's still restrained, so they canceled each other out. That's what it was.
So
Thank
it's a
you.
Straight roll.
Yeah. So the first one was a natural 20. It's a crit regardless, so she loses 2 death saves. The next one, he rolls a 10 to hit. So she's so she's alive. It was so scary. We were all like, "Is this no? Don't do it!" Because we don't have clerics, but 2, none of it. We're not level 5 yet. We don't have Revivify, so that would have been very, very sad. Luckily, with that, she lives, and then Nadya's right after Nixia, and because she's a hunter, she has cure wounds. So she got Nixia back up. I still had a second level spell slot, and I would have gone a little bit later, so I would have gotten her up regardless, but it was definitely very intense. So that was 2 sessions ago. This past one, we rested in this area, and we take these elevators, and the elevators work very interesting here. There's no stairs that lead up to the rest of the tower. Essentially, you walk onto these platforms and you say a passphrase, which I actually have the passphrase here on Discord. A gathering within the hall, take one, take us all, was the passphrase, in case you're curious.
Wow. Well, now you just spoiled it for a bunch of people who are going to play this adventure.
Shoot, sorry. Maybe it could be different. Well, your character, always remember your character doesn't know that yet.
Yeah.
No metagaming yet. So we go up, and basically how these work is instead of just teleporting you, you become like a solid block of ice, and then the ice shatters and you're gone. So we had to go up. Cool. We went up 2 at a time, 1 on each one. So basically, myself and our wizard, who's played by Ross, we went second, and we just basically watched them step on this platform, say the passphrase, and turn to a block of ice, and then shatter. And then they were gone, and we were like, I think this is still okay. Maybe we just killed them. I don't... let's do it! And so we followed them.
This is very like the witch from Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It kind of is,
to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it has some of that vibe for sure.
Like the Ice Queen.
Yeah. It's a lot of ice themes everywhere, because this place is basically like Elsa's, probably not quite as like Elsa's from Frozen's tower, but it's basically ice walls and things like that. It's very interesting. Very... very cold.
It's a winter wonderland.
It's a winter wonderland. Come on. So we go up. That's where we meet the half nymph, half fiend creature who has a beautiful singing voice. And we fought her. And this time Dip rolled pretty poorly. So we took her out fairly quickly. The big reveal, though, is we explored a little bit, and we found a library in the second floor that we went to. In there was a woman who was basically the captain of the guard. And she took a while. She was by herself. She had 2 actions. She took a potion of dragon breathing. So as a bonus action on each of her turns, she could use that. It was really dope. And she had like repost, so she would like if we missed an attack, she would get an attack. It was really cool, and Dip was explaining it really well, and especially with the barbarian and the fighter in our party, with her like being this fighter, it was really cool. I am out of sling stones because, yes, I am a bard. I only just got Vicious Mockery at the end of the session when we leveled up, because I didn't think my character would necessarily be hurting people with his words up to that point. So I've been using a sling for up to this point. And I had used my last rock, so I had nothing. I threw my dagger in this fight, and I missed. And so it came to my turn, and I was like, the barbarian just goes down, and I was like, I'm going to try and shove her prone, Dip. And he went, okay, go for it. Kurtis, I kid you not. I rolled a natural 20. So I knocked her prone. And then Nixia was able to finish her off because she got advantages, and she hadn't used her action surge until that time. And Nixia got the final kill.
So this puny little bard who's out of his sling stones that he's just been tossing at her this whole time just is like, I don't know what else to do, and just runs up and pushes her down.
Yep. I basically flavored it because she turned to the barbarian, and she fought. She used her attacks, and then last action, bonus action, she fire breath on him, and that's what brought him down. So I flavored it like he takes this moment, he sees her turn to the barbarian and do that, and he runs up and just pushes her, like checks her, I think is what Dip explained it as, and knocked her to the ground, and then Nixia goes for it. It was really, really fun. But we start exploring this library, and the notes that she was in here looking over are all the notes on Teldor, the continent that we just came from.
Interesting.
So we're kind of like, okay, interesting. We finally leave, and the next door we go open is we open the door, and it is a noblewoman that we met in the second or third session. What started this whole thing was we wanted to go rescue a noble lady, if you remember correctly.
Right.
This was
I remember.
When we all met at Heldren, and what got us all to be adventuring together was this noble lady went missing, and we went to go rescue her. We wound up finding her in that cabin.
Like a simple job, right?
Correct. And we sent her back to the town of Heldren, and we were going to continue on to go check out the portal to see what this whole thing was. We open that door, and it's the same noblewoman, looking very confused, like she doesn't recognize us. And that's where we ended the session. So
you guys have to be in like a parallel dimension or something, like, because you're seeing like the same people, the same places, but like different. Now, almost like you're in like a winter version of like kind of like the Shadowfell, you know, how it's supposed to be like a dark mirror,
right?
But you're in like a winter mirror,
right? And so
of where you're from.
We have these theories, and at the end of the session, we were explaining, and Dip was just like, he's like, guys, this campaign's gonna get crazy. It's. He explained it like the authors may have taken some drugs and then written this adventure. So it might get really crazy up in here. We don't know yet. The theories that, like, because Sarah and I have been talking about this, and the theories that we have is like Baba Yaga is a plane hopper, right? She like goes to different planes, and she has this dark theme about her. So I kind of thinking of it like she doesn't necessarily create things. She kind of takes things and makes them her own or corrupts them, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have this idea because she made this continent centuries ago. And so we kind of have this theme of like, maybe what she was doing was taking these pockets of the actual world, the material plane, and pulling them to fashion them into her own place. So she was pulling from these pockets all over the world to make them her own. And so we have this theory of, now that it's her daughter, if she's sending out these pockets of winter everywhere, all over the land, what if she has, now I believe in Pathfinder lore, daughters of hags are changelings. Right. What if, or just even just doppelgangers, I mean, could be a thing.
They're
shape
called
changers.
Changelings, but they don't, daughters of hags are called changelings, but they're not 5e changelings. They're different.
They work a little different, yeah. I don't really know, but I think it's something similar. I'd have to go look. But like, you know, if you have at your disposal shapeshifters, right? And I mean, there's also magic disguise self, and there's even ones beyond that make it like, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know there's some that even it's not just an illusion, that they can actually shift you, kind of like polymorph. But anyway, if you have these abilities, what if what you're trying to do is, instead of just sending out your armies to go conquer the world, what if you have these agents that you send to these pocket things that you're sending out all over the world, these pocket winters, and you're kidnapping a noble person and replacing it with your own agent to potentially either, one, prepare for an army and weaken the defenses, or just that's how you take over the world.
I mean, that's a very haggy thing to do, because, that's what hags, the real, stuff behind them is basically that. It's they steal babies and then replace them with their own little creations, their own little changelings. It's a very fairy thing, a very fae thing to do.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good theory there. Might be onto something.
Yeah. That was basically our theory up to this point. We will keep you all updated, because we have not really delved into the notes that what she was looking at. Was she just looking at Taldor in like was she researching the nobility of Taldor, or was she just researching the maps, right? We don't necessarily really know. So
you never found the witch at the top?
So we haven't got that far yet.
Lady?
We haven't got
not
that
at the
far
top.
Yet. Correct.
Oh, okay.
We have just explored. We took out the first floor a few sessions ago, and then basically this last session was us resting and then going to the second floor and having a bunch of fights there, and then finding the library with
and the noblewoman.
And the noblewoman. And there was a few other fights. There were some creepy monsters here that we did. So it was a session of fighting, and then kind of a revelation at the end that was just like, what is going on? So next session we'll be interviewing a noble lady and be like, hi, we know you. Do you know us?
Yeah.
And it just makes us wonder, like, who did we send back to Heldren?
Yeah. Yep.
Was
it the right person? Was it the wrong person? Was it a doppelganger? Yeah.
We don't know. And so we'll see what happens. I'm curious at this point. It is like in later books, because I think this might be a six book adventure path, and in later acts or books that we might be going back to Taldor. It makes me wonder. I know this is an adventure of traveling a lot, and we are also nowhere near the capital of this northern place that we're in. But it just makes me wonder.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I realize that we're probably getting close to the end of this hour of the podcast. Why don't you give us a little tease for next time, Kurtis? Like, what are we going to be talking about for you?
So I'll just do a real quick kind of summary. So essentially, in the first session, did we talk about the first session last time?
We talked a little bit. So just we'll probably go into a little bit more next episode of the podcast, and keep you guys coming back. From what I remember, you guys all met. You all had different reasons for meeting this contact that you all had. You all got these letters, and you all meet for the first time. We didn't get into the combat or anything like that last time.
Basically, we all met up and all had various reasons to hate the same person. And so this lady got us all together to sort of meet up and go, okay, so now you guys are going to all go take him out because you all hate him, and I can't go to the authorities with this and that kind of a thing. And this guy's a jerk.
He's a jerk.
So he kind of deserves to be taken out. He's a criminal. He's a worthless filth kind of person. So we all go to this dock that he's supposed to be at. And we have a few combats. We go inside, find out that he's using child labor, which is great.
Definitely worthy of slaying in that part, yeah.
We have a few fights in the fishery that is his, and then we go out back to a ship that's out back on the fishery that doesn't look like it's sailed in forever, and we get swarmed by dog-sized spiders, which was pretty intense. I'll go into more detail about that, but we barely scraped it out of that fight.
Dockside spiders is interesting. Because it doesn't, it's not like gigantic spiders is one thing, but I feel like that's almost creepier to have this spider that's like.
Yeah, they're like they were like small, I think they were small sized creatures. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So we had that fight, which was rough. And then we took a short rest after that, and then went under the pier itself to like a little under section. And found the guy right away. I thought it was going to be a bit of a chase. But no, third session, we found him. Our last session, we found him and had a big fight with him, and it was pretty good. Had some revelations about everyone because he was talking to everyone about, like, none of us really knew why we all didn't like him. We all had our own personal reasons that we were affected by him, but him kind of trying to get at us and insult us kind of gave us all hints about why each of us, like how each of us was connected to him, which was very interesting.
Okay. We may go into those little insults later.
My character had some issues with temptation. We'll go over that too.
Yeah.
And then at the end, well, there was quite a revelation at the end, which again I will save for next week.
So, some fights go on, and that's interesting that you guys find him so quick. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So afterwards, I did talk to Dip a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah, this is like your intro. Getting rid of this guy's just your background. And it's what gets you guys together. It's like instead of all meeting at a tavern, you all go kill a guy that you all hate." So yeah, that was pretty much it. So
yeah, that's one way to start a D&D. Yeah.
Very cool first 3 sessions, and then we all hit level 2.
It's almost. I mean, it took 3 sessions, but that's almost like a one shot, right? You all hate this guy. You get together and go kill him.
The only reason it even took 3 sessions was because of all the role play we were doing, because it was our first times with our characters.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Well, I'm excited for that, Kurtis. We will definitely leave that for next time. As always, everyone, thank you so much for joining the Backyard Tabletop. I am Jake, or Jacob,
and I'm Kurtis. Well, you walked all over me, man. You can't just say I'm Jake. Give a slight pause and then say or Jacob.
Yeah,
you gotta. I'm trying to be quick here. Okay, I'm trying to get better.
It's right. Yeah, like you're.
Let's do it again.
As always, I'm Jake.
I thought you were going to say I'm Jacob again. Okay, one more time.
Okay, one more. This time I'm just going to say Jake.
Okay.
As always, I'm Jake.
And I'm Kurtis. Thank you. Also known as Kurt.
I love doing this podcast with you. I hope you all love listening to us. Thank you again, everyone. We'll see you next time. Every other Monday.
Every other Monday.